All right. I am here with John Smith.
Oh, that's weird. We have the same last name.
John Smith is my brother.
That is true. Hello, brother.
Hi, brother.
So do you go by Jazzy Jeremiah on this show as well, or?
No, that's the other podcast I do.
Okay.
It's got a private Instagram account, so it's kind of hard to find. But
All right.
Anyway, so John, I wanted to have John on here because he's my brother, and he's a very talented, hilarious guy. He works in an industry that is like just confounds me, just confuses my brain. But I also think is like it's a massive industry, it's a big industry, and it's kind of probably the future. And people like you're gonna put people like me out of business.
Well, no, because the next people are putting both of us out of business right now, which is Twitch streamers.
Twitch streamers.
Yeah.
What about TikTok? Streamers.
No.
Okay. So John, you are an editor and content creator.
Yes.
For a YouTube channel called Funhaus.
Yes, Funhaus.
Funhaus, spelled Funhaus. So John edits videos for them. He appears in videos for them. They do like video game playthrough and comedy and stuff.
Yeah.
It's a fun channel.
If you've ever heard of Mystery Science Theater 3000, it's basically the Mystery Science Theater 3000 of video games.
Nice.
We have one person play really bad video games, and then people sit behind them and just crack jokes and kind of improv and things like that.
Yeah. It's funny. But I always start at the beginning here. So, for people that are listening that don't know you, I know you, but so where are you from, and how did you end up in Los Angeles?
Okay, well, first of all, I just want to preamble 2 apologies. 1, I have the sniffles, and I'm trying my darndest for the next hour not to breathe through my nose.
You sound great.
Thank you. And 2, I do have a sparkling water here that's delicious. I guess it stopped bubbling. So problem 2 solved. Only one problem. Let me take a sip.
That's okay. What's like the weird thing where people like make chewing sounds into my
ASMR.
ASMR. Is this gonna?
I used to fall asleep to it all the time.
What the fuck are you talking about?
What do you mean?
You used to play sounds of people eating food to help you fall asleep?
That's the gross. No, there's all different kinds.
What
Mostly it's like scratch my keys on wood.
What?
It's like, oh, that's so relaxing.
That is so weird. So ASMR just is like any sound recording?
It's stuff that gives you like if you remember when you were a kid in kindergarten and you guys would like write letters on each other's backs.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, guess the letter, but it just like tingled, or like when your mom would comb your hair and you'd get the tingles. It's basically audio visual stuff that enacts that feeling in your body.
Oh, gotcha.
And anyone with a heart can experience it, and anyone who's soulless doesn't understand it and ask questions about it on a
podcast. well, maybe I must just not have seen enough of it, because I thought it was just people like, and now I'm going to try Jell-O.
Yeah, no, there's a very creepy side to it, and it's like pseudo, maybe sexual, like, yeah, it treads very strange. Anytime you're dealing with sensory stuff, it can get a little weird.
Okay. All right, we're sidetracked.
Yeah, we did sidetrack, but, it does play into... what was the question?
Where are you from, and how did you end up in Los Angeles?
I was trying to bring it back around, but as I said, I'm a little sniffly. All right, so where am I from? You know.
I know, but my listeners don't know.
I'm just messing around. I am from San Diego, California, more specifically Lemon Grove.
Yeah.
We got a big old lemon in our town.
The town's slogan is the best climate on earth.
Oh, really?
You didn't know that? Yeah, it's written on the lemon, like on the bottom of the lemon. The best climate on earth, because it's supposedly like, far enough from the ocean that it doesn't get like the marine layer and doesn't get cold, but not too far east that it doesn't get so hot.
I'd say that's
perfect.
accurate.
It's a perfect city.
So I come from the perfectest city, Lemon Grove, and I grew up. I don't know if you ever used it. Grandma had a camcorder that from like 5 to, I don't know, 15, I would use it to make little home movies, little sketches of like my action figures and stuff, and then later with my buddy Matt and little like other neighbors around the neighborhood making movies. And then in middle school, high school, I started making Flash animations, and then I started going to school for computer science, game development, but then a mentor that I had worked with reached out to me. I was working at the deli, and I just got a text, and I opened it up, and it said, "Hey, do you want to go to Uganda?"
Yeah.
And I was like,
forgot about that
Yeah.
chapter of your life.
And I was like, yeah, I guess so. And so I quit, and I dropped out of school, and I went to Uganda for a semester. And then when I came back, they offered me a job in the art department. And then from there on, I was just working video, doing freelance.
Well, you should say you went to Uganda with Invisible Children, right?
Yeah.
Which is Jason Russell.
Jason Russell.
He had a big viral campaign called Coney.
Yeah, that's what most
2012?
people remember Coney 2012. They don't even know what Invisible Children is.
And then he had a South Park episode
Yeah,
done
he
about
did.
him.
Yeah, I was gone by that point. I was
Yeah.
only there for like a year.
I've seen him since then. He's awesome. I love
Yeah.
Jason. He
Yeah,
had
yeah.
a mental breakdown and like
Yeah, well, he's doing well. And what I actually read about that was that everyone goes through that. It's just usually not so public.
Mm.
Like being in the global spotlight is such a. Are we allowed to curse?
Yes.
It is such a mind fuck that most people just like their brains shatter at one point.
Yeah.
And that that's what happened to him. And he's doing great now. Yeah,
yeah, that campaign was like massively huge. Like,
it was. I think it broke a bunch of like internet first records of like views in the first in number of 24 hours or whatever.
yeah.
That's not the case anymore because like every pop song has a 100 billion plays on YouTube. But
Yeah. I
this is
remember
back
I
in the
saw the link to his Coney 2012 video on the front page of Reddit, and to me that was like, oh my god, Jason's on the front page of Reddit, and I like sent him a text message, but then it was like he was also on the front page of CNN,
Yeah.
and NBC, and
Yeah.
like he was like on the cover of some magazines and stuff too, I think.
Yeah.
So you were working for Invisible Children, doing like video stuff for them. You were,
Yeah.
like their video guy.
And then I left there and I did freelance for a couple years. And then a friend was like, I'm moving to San Francisco to like intern for this famous photographer. I don't know what I'm going to do for work. And I was like, well, I do freelance video and you do video. We should just do video together, but we don't know how to do business stuff. And then our other friend who was there was like, I know how to do business stuff and I don't know what I'm doing with my life either. So we founded Sprinkle Lab and moved up to the Bay and started doing like tech commercial stuff for like apps and different things like that. And then I was over that as well, which is a trend in my career, which is I like making stuff, but every like 6 months I'd be like, I'm over this.
Yeah.
And so I left Sprinkle Lab and I moved down here to LA.
Yeah.
And
I remember because you lived with me.
yeah, I lived with you. And I started doing assistant editing.
Yeah, I helped you get into the
Yeah.
reality TV side of things
Mhm.
in the post world.
Yeah.
And you did that for a while, right? You did that for
I did it for a
couple
while.
years?
It's hard because it's I mean, I think all assistant editors would agree with me. It's very easy and you get paid well.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, I don't have to like try to achieve anything ever again. And so I got kind of stuck there for a while. And then I was over that.
Yeah.
And then I finally, long story short, I bounced around other places. And I finally landed at Funhaus.
How did they find you?
Okay, this is the interesting part, which I don't know if a lot of people know this. That I moved back up to Oakland because I was like, that's where all my friends are. I need to get a job up there. So I moved out of LA up to Oakland, and I couldn't find any video work. And I still had a job waiting for me at Electus down here in LA. My post manager there was like, if you ever want to come back, just hit me up. We will immediately hire you back. But I was like, I want to live in Oakland. So I moved up there, and I searched and searched, and I ran out of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
You were like living in your truck, weren't you?
Yeah, take the punch out of my story.
Oh, sorry.
So I was like, okay, I'm out of money. I can't pay rent at the place that I'm staying at. So I can either move back, or I can buy a $300 like truck trailer for the back of my truck, and I can live in my truck and keep trying to make it. And so I did that. And within those 2 months, I interviewed at a place called Crunchyroll. And I also filmed what did I call it? A 5-minute video application for creative employment or something like that.
Oh, yeah. It's like your video resume.
Yeah.
I remember
Because
that.
I've always done really well in like face-to-face interviews, but when it's just on paper, like it doesn't look
Right.
impressive at all what I've done.
Is that video still online?
Yeah.
Send me the link. I'll put it in the show notes so people can watch it. It was really funny.
Thank you. And that was also because I realized, and this is the big reason why I was getting bored with everything, is that I wasn't enjoying any of the stuff that I was making. I enjoyed doing it, but it wasn't content that I myself would watch.
Right.
And I didn't even really realize, I knew I didn't want to work on lame stuff or like stuff that wasn't fun or funny or quirky, because that was always the thing where I would always try to put my own spin on it, and people were like, this is not on brand, like we do not want this. So I made this really weird, quirky application video that I included with every job I applied to, with the specific intent of people who weren't into it being like, we don't want to hire this guy, and basically narrowing the amount of people who would call me back.
You wanted to find people that would like appreciate you for your odd, quirky.
Yeah.
Which you are very odd and quirky. I'd say like right now, we've been recording for like 13 minutes. This is like the most normal 13 minutes I've ever
really
spent with you.
I'm I'm trying really hard not to be a weirdo right now, Jared.
No, be yourself, John.
But yeah, so I made that application video, and this guy, Scott, that worked at Crunchyroll and was like in charge of developing their in-studio kind of video production team, reached out to me and was like, I really like your stuff. I want to hire you. We did a few back and forth interviews. I went and saw them, and like, I don't know if you've ever been inside one of those big tech offices. They have like fridges full of treats, and everyone's like hanging in like those Lawnmower Man gyroscope things, like workstations, and like it's just a bunch of crazy stuff up there. But they offered me the job, and they're like, the HR person was like, this is just a verbal offer, but I can tell you that in the year I've been here, we've never had a verbal offer that then didn't lead to a real hire.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, great. So like I'm completely hired. I just have to wait for the board to approve. And then the day came, they're like, all right, we're meeting the board. It's happening. And then they called me back. They're like, yeah, so they're dissolving one of their sister companies, and they have a video production team there. So we have to absorb that production team,
Oh,
and
that sucks.
we can't hire you.
I remember that. That sucks a lot.
And I was like, oh, okay. But one of the things we'd connected on was I talked about Rooster Teeth and Funhaus, which is where I now work. But at the time, I was just a fan because I was using them as an example that, like, you can create successful internal video. Because that's basically what they are. They just make stuff and play video games and put it out. So, like, the people at Crunchyroll could have done that. But anyway, so I was like, all right, I failed. I moved back down to LA. I started working at my old post job again. But then I saw that Funhaus had a job opening for a video editor.
You just saw it like online or something?
Yeah, online. And I was like, okay, well, Scott like knows those guys. Like, that was how we connected. I had mentioned them, and he's like, I worked with all those guys at G4. And so I applied, and then I emailed Scott, and I was like, hey, Scott, I know our thing didn't work out, but like, do you think you could put in a good word for me? And then they reached out to me, and within like a couple weeks, I was brought on as a contractor. And then after 3 months, I was told, like, we want to hire you, and I was hired on, and I'm a salary man.
Yeah. So this is the thing that like kind of blows me away is that you work for a YouTube channel but you're on staff. You have benefits like health insurance, like paid time off.
Preach it.
Like like you've got like a good job, and you edit videos of people playing video games and put them on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I know that's a very like gross oversimplification, and I like boil it down to what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But like that's crazy. I guess it's just crazy that like that product, your guys' the videos that you guys put out generates enough income for that company that they have like multiple staff employees and offices and everything, and like it's crazy.
So I'm not sure like percentages or whatever, but it's not just ad revenue from YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's actually a small portion of where our profits come from. A lot of them come from sales of merch that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And since we're part of, so Funhaus is within the Let's Play family of Rooster Teeth.
Rooster Teeth is like the parent company.
Yeah. And so all of the Let's Play channels get the benefits of Rooster Teeth's like design team. So Rooster Teeth makes all of the merch. And so basically, I think I'm not involved in it, but I think they just like get a few design options and are like, we like that one, we like that one, we like that one.
Yeah.
And then they release it in like their fall line or whatever. So there's that, and then there's also sponsors for our podcasts. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of podcasts where like this podcast is brought to you by these 3 different companies today.
Yeah, but thank you for rubbing it in that I don't have sponsors. I've heard it, John. Yes,
You're
I've heard people make money from podcasting. I don't. Thank you for pointing that out to me. But yes, I've heard that. I'm just kidding.
But yeah, so I think a lot of that comes from like the kind of, since we've grown an audience, we can then go, look at this huge audience, give us money for things.
Right.
I think that's where a lot of the money comes from. But yeah, I think since we're part of this larger company, that's what allows them to employ us on salary and give us benefits and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think that unless you're like one of the big YouTube channels, that an individual YouTube channel can function as much like a business as we do.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm.
Oh, just because without that parent company.
Yeah, and without the like network of different revenue streams of like merch and sponsors, and I mean, they can get all that stuff and they can do all that stuff. It's just they have to do it all themselves.
Right.
Although I may be wrong.
Yeah, but explain. So what do you do every day? So you go in and you're just like explain to me maybe like how a video comes together.
How a video comes together
from like an idea stage to shooting it to like editing it, and like what parts of the process are you like a part of? And
it could be any of them because I've started producing content for them as well, and then I'm also a content creator, which I'm not exactly sure what that means. I think it means that I'm on camera enough that it's being acknowledged.
Right. Are you an influencer? Do you consider yourself an influencer?
No, but when I was at GDC last week, I did meet someone who I said, "What do you do?" And they said, "I'm an influencer," and I threw up in my mouth.
People are making real money doing that.
What does it mean, though?
It just means that they have a big enough following either on Instagram or YouTube or whatever.
It should be a more humble title word. Like
it is kind of an obnoxious
I influence society.
Yeah.
Okay.
People look up to me and base decisions about how they spend their money based on my behavior.
Yeah.
I'm an influencer.
It's just a weird. I'm more not into the name than I am the career.
Right.
So a video starts usually with someone finding a video game that they want to play.
And you do like old video games, right? You're not like doing like Red Dead Redemption or...
We do that. Normally when like a new big game comes out, we'll do a gameplay of it.
Okay.
But our bread and butter is like bad games because people may not remember, if you didn't grow up on the internet or whatever, there was a lot of bad games, and there
Mhm.
still are, but there were a lot of bad games that were like huge titles.
Mhm.
Like now, there's like big AAA titles that, even though they could be mediocre, like overall, they still look really great and are programmed really great and everything like that because they have the best and the best. They're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on them or whatever. But back in the day, it was like, here's the biggest game of the year, and it's garbage. um, and so there's a lot of games like that that we'll play, and the format of what they do is a lot of times they will shoot. It's generally they've worked out all the kinks also because Bruce and James and Adam, those are like the three main guys. They've been working together for like, I think they've been making stuff for like 6 or 9 years at this point. This same type of stuff. It's evolved, but it's the same kind of thing of playing video games and making jokes.
Yeah.
And so what they do is they restrict it to an hour. So whoever's producing it will install the game on the computer or the console or whatever, and then schedule a time, and then everyone who's in it will come into the single cam room, and they'll shoot it in an hour's time. And generally at an hour, even if they're having fun and things good, they're like, all right, it's been an hour, like, and they find an out and they end it, and they transfer all the files to the server, and then from there, one of the producers speaks with the post-production manager.
Mm-hmm.
And the post-production manager says, which editor is free? Oh, none of them. Okay, well, then this will wait. But then once we finish our whatever video we're working on, he's like, all right, this is the next thing in the pipeline. Take it and cut it. And this is the reason why I've lasted so long here and not gotten bored like I have with basically every other job.
Uh-huh.
Is one, I have like 2 to 4 days to complete the video entirely. Depending on how complex it's going to be. And 2, I basically have creative freedom to do whatever the hell I want. And that's why YouTube is great, is because it's just one video. It's not like an entire series where everything has to flow together. It's just a one-off video.
Right.
Even if it's not good, they can either scrap it or, release it on a day that they don't need content or whatever. So it's very low pressure.
Yeah.
And like anyone can do whatever they want with it. Like the editors have a lot of creative freedom. And so I have 2 to 4 days to edit. So I bring it in Premiere, clean up that audio, sync everything. And then every editor has different process.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to actually like talk about my process?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So I have worked it out to 4 or 5 phases. Phase 1, just a full watch down.
Yeah.
Especially because it's comedy. And they're good at comedy. There will be callbacks, and there will be kind of like, generally, and not all the time, but an overall theme to like what they're gagging about and everything. So I'll watch it down completely, first and foremost. And then I'll do a watch through where I just cut out all the bad jokes, all the like stuff that didn't land, stuff that didn't stick, whatever. Go through and cut all that down. Usually that takes down to about half an hour. And then I will do a third pass where it's basically going, all right, what am I going to put in this video? And usually through that process, we'll get it down to about 15 minutes. And then the last pass, or I guess the last editing pass, is cutting to time, where I'm actually cutting out all the little dead spaces in between their phrases. Because, whenever people talk to each other, there is a half-second or 1 second gap between what someone says and how someone responds.
Right.
But we cut that out. So
You're just sucking all the air out of it, so it's like boom,
so
boom,
it's
boom,
just
moving
biggity, biggity,
fast.
boom. I think Bruce's general rule, he's like the big boss man, is a joke every 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a really funny joke, but it takes like this whole story that someone told and all this stuff, and it takes like 90 seconds to set up, get it out of there. And so, yeah, I then cut to time and I do all the camera work. Which
Do you guys have like time goals and stuff, or because
not really
it's the
like,
internet? You
yeah,
can
10 to 20 minutes. But for me, I try to like get as close to 10 as
Yeah.
I can. So I feel like 11 minutes, like that's kind of like an Adult Swim episode, and that's a good amount of time for something weird that, it doesn't stay too long. And even if it's shorter, like we'll still release it. Like I think I've done some videos that are like 8 or 9 minutes long.
yeah.
But I think on YouTube there's like, if it's over 10 minutes, like if it's 10 minutes and 2 seconds, it puts you in a higher like ad revenue tier or something.
Oh, weird.
So we've never been told like add more to this video to make it more than 10 minutes because Bruce is all about the comedy. But I think there's like a general idea, like, this is an hour of footage. Don't cut it down to like 4 minutes.
Right.
There is some gold in there. Yeah. So yeah, after I do all the camera work, which is, it's just a single webcam. So when I say camera work, it's zooming into different people's faces.
Right.
Then is the Photoshop After Effects phase, because most Let's Plays are one dude, maybe with a webcam, and they film for an hour and they just sync it all up and put it online.
Right.
But we cut everything down. We add in music and sound effects, and we also what we're kind of known for is doing these like Photoshop animations. So like if someone makes a joke about this businessman that comes home and like finds his wife cheating on him or whatever, we will make a Photoshop of that.
Yeah.
Just taking stuff off the internet. And it's actually mostly there are dry periods where we just do it all ourselves, and we're totally capable of doing it all ourselves. But a lot of times we have interns do it. So every semester we have a number of interns come in, and they're basically our kind of Photoshoppers.
Right.
And so we'll watch a video, or when we're making a video, we'll go, okay, here's all the places that there are going to be Photoshops. And I write out like a Google Doc explaining what I need, and then I give it to them. And then they'll give it back, and it's like, did you even read what I wrote? Nah, I'm just joking.
Interns are the worst, right?
But yeah, it's like they get an actual, like, because when I interned, I just sat at a desk and no one talked to me ever unless I got up and I was like, do you have any work I can do? And they're like, not really. So
Wait, where did you intern?
I interned at the U.S. Department of Commerce in San Diego.
Gotcha.
And I mean,
Sounds
yeah,
really boring anyway.
yeah. A lot of times it's just like, interning is just getting coffee or,
Sure.
do whatever. So we're like, and I've become part of like, it's not an official title, so I'm not allowed to say manager. So I call myself the intern overseer.
Mm-hmm.
And I've taken it upon myself to kind of like, I ask them what they're studying, why they took this internship, and then I kind of try to gear their experience towards that, although it's mostly just Photoshops.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll get those from the interns, and I'll put them in, and I'll animate them in After Effects, and then video goes out the door, and then usually it'll go up, like either it'll go up within a couple days because it's a new game, or it'll go up like 3 months after I finish it.
Do you have like a notes process? Like, is someone like?
Oh, I totally skipped over that.
That's okay.
That is a big part of it.
Yeah.
After phase 4, so after the cut to time,
Yeah.
I think a lot of other editors just like get a rough little cut down and then bring it to a producer. But I'm really anal, and I'm like, this is exactly how the joke needs to be seen. So yeah, after phase 4, when I have it like picture locked,
Yeah.
and I have everything done up, I will then hit up my producer, and they'll come watch it, and they'll usually like add more Photoshops and things like that, or if something doesn't play, they'll like talk to me about it and how we can do it a different way and things like
Right.
that. But yeah,
And then they go onto the internet. And
Yeah.
people watch them.
people watch them.
What's like your average? Would you say like audience per video? Like how
I
many
think
views?
most videos get over 200,000.
Uh huh.
And we do like Uh, we used to do 11 videos a week.
That's so many videos.
Yeah, but then we cut it down because it was basically we couldn't do. That was just all we were doing. We couldn't like grow it all and like try different things. So we cut it down to 7 minutes, or not 7 minutes, 7 videos a week. So a video a day.
Yeah.
And they've since like they wrote like a sketch comedy show that got greenlit by our big company. So they're actually out in Austin filming that now.
That's going to be for YouTube or for television?
For roosterteeth.com.
Oh, so their website is going to have like
yeah.
exclusive content on it?
Yeah. Before Hulu, before Netflix, before basically anybody, Rooster Teeth had a subscription service. It's like pay us. I think back then it was $2 every 6 months or something like that. Yeah, but they would have exclusive content on there. They only started uploading their stuff to YouTube like I don't know, like 6 or 7 years ago.
Gotcha.
It's always lived on their website. And so now since they're owned by like these big, they got absorbed or they got bought by Full Screen, which then got absorbed into Otter Media or Elation or something. I don't know. It's a whole corporate tree of ownership, but they're like actually making it like a platform for viewing.
Fun. Are you involved in that sketch comedy show at all?
No.
So you're staying on Funhaus.
Yeah, that's like a joint venture between Rooster Teeth and Funhaus.
Mm-hmm.
So it's being filmed in Austin because they have a whole like production studio, and it's like half Funhaus, half Rooster Teeth people. So yeah, it's just like the main crew is being flown out there for like a week or two here and there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So why do you think people like watching YouTube so much? Like what, like it's, I mean, I watch a ton of YouTube, but like just like do you find that like people that like are younger, I don't want to say your age, but like you're 8 years younger than me. But like it's just where people go for content now, right? Like
yeah, and it's so weird because there's so many different things. Like I watch woodworking videos.
yeah.
And like streams of people speedrunning video games. But our viewers, I think it's most of it's personality driven because there's so much of every type of content that you can find. Really, it's just about who's doing it is what's interesting or is what is unique about it. Like basically everyone I've shown videos that I've worked on don't find it funny at all. And I honestly like really didn't when I first was brought on because I was a fan of Rooster Teeth. I didn't really know about Funhaus, and I find them funny, but I wasn't like, oh, that's hilarious until I like got to know them and got to know their got more familiar with the content, and then everything became funnier because it's it's people It's
like your friends, like when you and your friends are like bantering back and forth.
Yeah, even
like
if
you
your
guys
friend's
have
just
your
being
own.
stupid and doing something stupid that if you saw a stranger do wouldn't be funny.
Right.
Because it's your friend, it's hilarious.
Right.
And so that's kind of, I think, what Funhaus has is that we have a really strong community of people that love everyone who's in the videos. So as long as, they're not just sitting there like sleeping, people
Although you could probably find that on YouTube
actually,
as well.
yeah, that's true. People will be into it. So as long as we like don't release like shit,
right?
People will like it.
And do you guys like have any plans or goals to try to like get onto like traditional TV? Because I found a lot of people that work in traditional TV are like, we got to figure out how to get into like the YouTube space. And then a lot of people that like have YouTube channels are like, we just want a TV show.
Yeah.
Like, do you guys like talk about that or?
I don't think so. I think we all understand that shifting platforms, I'm not saying that your industry is dying.
Oh God.
But I think that with the internet being, I mean, it's not really new anymore, but it's still like this emerging platform there's a lot more space to kind of become a big whale in on the internet than there is to, like, you can't break into TV and become, MTV anymore. No one can do that.
Right.
But you maybe can on the internet. Maybe not MTV, because Vivo and T-Series have kind of taken that helm.
But I even find, like, isn't it, like, really, really hard to break into YouTube now, too? Like, there's just so many people doing it. That, like, if you start a YouTube channel, like, the chances of you growing an audience that's large enough for you to make money is, like, pretty slim.
Yeah, from what I understand is you have to be able to produce consistent content on a regular schedule for like 2-3 years before you have any chance of kind of taking off.
Right.
And like, I'll always find people and I'm like, oh, they only have 200,000 followers, and I found their video on Reddit that like blew up. It's like, oh, like this guy's new. And then I'll go onto their channel, and it's like they've been posting videos for 6 years.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, I think that's the story for most people who are successful on YouTube. Like, we know about PewDiePie and these other people that, exploded and immediately shot to the top. But for most people, it's just doing the grind like any other job or any other like business that you start. And it wasn't profitable for so long. And then eventually, the needle passed over a point where you're like, I'm actually making money from this. And it wasn't because of a big viral hit. It was because they're producing the same thing on a regular basis and never not doing that.
Yeah.
And so just very, very slowly it grew. And yeah, that's the thing. YouTube's been around for like 13 years now.
Yeah.
So if you've been doing that for 13 years, I feel like it would be hard not to have a big community at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you started YouTube, even if it was shitty, like staring into a camera or something, as long as you did the same thing, you'd have. Like, there's this guy who I don't know if he's big, but all he does is tries on hats. And like, I always see his pictures around because it's like when you go to his page, it's just a wall of thumbnails, all with him making the same big smiley face.
Yeah.
Just wearing a different hat.
Yeah. Is he on Instagram or YouTube?
He's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might do well on Instagram.
Well, there was that guy, the security guard that just farted.
Oh,
every
yeah,
time.
yeah.
The farting
Paul
security.
Flart.
Paul Flart. That's right. Yeah. I mean, he's like, I followed him on Instagram for a little while, and he was like announcing like live appearance dates and stuff.
Yeah, I know. It was so funny because he had like his 15 minutes of fame. So when he got fired, he's like, "You'll see me on the internet."
Yeah.
And I subscribed to him on YouTube too, and he does streams. Well, he streams on Twitch, and then he does stream highlights where. So when you live stream, there's a program called OBS where you can like put text. It's open broadcast software where you can like put graphics and put text and stuff. And so what he does is he binds like a key. He can just hit it and it ups a counter, and he has a fart counter. So while he's live streaming, he'll just like fart into his microphone and like up the counter. It was the weirdest thing, like, because like it's sort of like a funny idea, but at the same time, like, who would watch that for more than like 10 seconds?
Right. Just once. Just
yeah.
Like, for novelty's sake.
Yeah. And his stream was like, I streamed for 3 hours and I farted 46 times.
Oh my God.
Like, Jesus, dude, go to the hospital. But it was just funny seeing the condensed, like he's doing all the things that everyone else is doing. It was just very weird. Cause like, that's the thing that a lot of big streamers do. So they'll stream for 2 hours and then they'll pay an editor to cut down a stream highlight to put on YouTube. And it was that.
Yeah. Just with him farting.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let me ask you about streaming a little bit, because honestly, this is like, I downloaded the Twitch app because you said you were doing stuff on Twitch, and I read an article about Ninja.
He's old news, but yes.
Yeah, but other than that, I'm like, this is just like it's such a foreign world to me. So like, people are like streaming live videos of them playing video games on.
When you were a kid,
yeah,
did you ever go to your friend's house and watch your friend play a single player game.
Yes, sure.
That's basically what this is.
Okay.
Except instead of it being a 1-to-1 where you're sitting there, you throw your arm around your buddy, it's a dude or a lady in a room with a webcam and some lights for like hundreds of people or
Right.
thousands of people.
Or millions of people. Ninja gets millions of views.
Yeah, over time. I think what I've seen, the highest number of concurrent viewers I've seen is 600,000.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is a lot. It was crazy. But he's old news. Also, the guy who was big news, Shroud, he just got into a scooter accident.
Oh.
I mean, it sucks, but like he hurt his elbow, so now he can't stream 12 hours a day like he was.
And are people streaming things besides video games?
Oh yeah. There's a huge non-gaming community on Twitch and on Chatterbait. I don't know if
I don't know Chatterbait.
it's a porn website. It's like live cam, like it's basically the Twitch for porn. And there's a weird crossover because there's there's a lot of just like normal women gamers or painters and musicians, male and female, doing all the non-gaming stuff. But then there's also like this fine line of like I think they call them Twitch thoughts. I have no problem with it, but there's a lot of people who have a problem with it. They're like, go back to Chatterbait, because they'll like wear really revealing clothing.
Yeah.
They can't be nude, but they'll wear really revealing clothing and do like squats for subs and things like that. So it's just like this weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird line.
Semi-sexual.
Yeah. But yeah, like I've done a lot of gaming streams as well.
Yeah,
like,
you're on Twitch.
Yeah, I did. When I was doing meal prepping for a while on Mondays, I think I only did it like 2 or 3 times, but I strapped a phone to my head and I just streamed, and I had my phone hooked up to like a little external battery in a fanny pack, and I just streamed like me doing all my meal prep for the week.
And were you like talking?
Yeah, because I had like a laptop with chat open, so I would like look over and see what people were saying. And then also I've done date night before, which was I photoshopped like a restaurant with like a table with 2 chairs, and then I green screened myself on my webcam and then put myself in one of those chairs, and then on one screen I opened Google Hangouts and I put that screen in the other chair.
Yeah.
So
I remember watching this.
yeah, I would do like speed dating with chat.
Yeah. It was a little bit like chat roulette almost.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, so like that's another thing, is that this whole live thing that used to be the big thing back in like the 50s or whatever, when television first came along. It was like live shows, live broadcasts. That's now becoming a thing again. Because there's some weird element about it being live. Like, I can't explain it, but I've experienced it too, where like I won't watch like speed runs, stuff like that. That's just like a 3-hour like recording of a stream. I'm not interested in that, but I love watching speedrunners play live.
Right.
Because you can see them break a world record like live.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's just this weird element to it.
Yeah. How would you say you divide your viewing hours of the day between, traditional television, YouTube or other online videos, streaming? Like where do you
like my personal viewing?
Yeah.
Oh, there's no rhyme or reason to it.
Well, just if you had to estimate.
I probably watch a season of a show every couple weeks, and a couple movies here and there. Sometimes I'll do like a day of movies where I'll just play video games and just have movies going the whole time. And usually YouTube, like either morning or night, like when I'm in bed, or Twitch.
So like a healthy balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the thing. I don't think that like my industry is dying. I mean, it's just being hopeful.
I mean, it could be.
I mean, I hope it's not. I think because my industry is content creating as well. You know, like
Mhm.
I'm not a network. I'm not a distribution platform. I think that the networks probably have more to be worried about, just as far as like, because all they are is, you know, I mean, not all they are, but like mainly what they are is like the place where people get their content. But I, you know, as someone that makes television shows and like tells stories, I feel like those are always going to be in demand, and that skill is going to be in demand. And like I could easily transition into like, oh, we're going to do this live, you know, documentary that's going to broadcast on Twitch 24 hours a day. Like, how are we going to pull that off? Like, okay, like I could do that, you know? So I hope that like content creators are good to go. And like, there's just more options, you
Mhm.
know, as far as like who's buying and where you can watch stuff. And then it's not just like a dying breed, but
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's more the network.
yeah, I
I'd say.
think so.
I'd agree with you. Yeah, like people are unsubscribing from television and stuff, but that doesn't
Right.
mean they're not watching the shows that are on television.
Right.
They're just watching them through Hulu or wherever.
Do you have, you don't have cable, do you? Yeah.
No way.
We cut our cord
Hell yeah,
like
bro.
a while ago.
Joining me.
Oh, shaking the hand.
shaking hands.
Can you see that on our cameras? Oh, we are. If you're listening to this on a podcast, like an audio format, there should be a video format available on YouTube as well, as long as all these cameras work.
Yeah, and
John-
I did literally wipe my nose with that hand and then shake
Oh,
it. So
Jesus Christ. Am I going to get sick now? Am I going to
Maybe.
get your cooties? All right. Well, what do you how are people like getting into this, you know, industry that you're in? Like, do you think like if there's people that are like, you know, in high school or in college and like I want to make YouTube videos, I want to either be a YouTuber or like I just want to like work in YouTube or just content creation, editing, whatever, like what do you think the best path for that is, you know, now?
I mean, don't go to film school. That's a waste of money.
Mm-hmm.
Start making stuff.
Yeah.
Start making the stuff that you want more of in the world. You know, if you want to do sketch comedy stuff like Gus Johnson and all them, they don't have, you know, professional. I mean, you know, maybe they do now, but like they're just goofing around in their house. No like professional costume budget. No like big giant red cameras or anything like that. And, you know, it caught on and he's grown super huge at this point.
Gus Johnson?
Yeah, you should check him out.
Okay.
And if you want to, I don't know, you can't. There's no one way. Like for me, it was just doing it. Everything that was a hobby for me in high school became my job. Like,
Right.
I was making cartoons and short films and stuff when I was in high school. And like I had the experience to do that once I started doing it professionally.
I remember
think-
being really impressed with how you were able to learn software on your own and how you would teach yourself, you know, editing softwares or motion graphic softwares. Like as a kid, you were doing that. And
I'm a gamer at heart.
I remember being, you know, really, really impressed with that. And we always thought, like we, meaning your family, we always thought that you were going to do something in, you know, the visual arts, media space, because you were always
Look at me now.
so interested in it. I know. Look at us both now.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Me, not so much. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah,
There is no reason not to make things. Like if you have a story to tell, if you have, you know, like ideas, I mean the equipment and the distribution has been like democratized. Like you can do it on your phone.
yeah, you can just shoot with your phone. Every smartphone has a camera that's good enough. Every phone has a YouTube app that you can record and immediately post it to YouTube.
Yeah.
So like there's editing software that costs like $5.
Yeah.
So like cost is no longer a barrier
Right.
for content creators, because that was always the thing. Like I had grandma's VHS camcorder, but if I ever wanted to shoot something real, the first time I was able to do that was by renting a camera from my high school.
Right.
But yeah, The only thing I can't tell you how to get a job, but what I can tell you is experience is the most important thing, and not professional experience that you get from a job, just the experience of doing the thing. Um, I mean, any time you take up a new hobby, you're shit at it, and then you get better at it. Like that's just how things work. And I think a lot of people are like, I want to do this thing. Like this is my dream to do this thing. And they're thinking of it more as like that seems fun to do rather than like that doesn't seem like a job. That seems like a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Or it's my job isn't, my current job isn't fun, but like I do have a good time working at Funhaus, but I'm not like sitting at my desk going, wee like
What if you were though? That'd be something wrong with you. It's just like they're like you have to put you in an office like, separate from everybody else. Like John his videos are really good, but he just doesn't stop going wee while he's editing. It's like just annoying. Yeah. Every job. I think I've told this story on this podcast before, but like I used to hang out with people that were Imagineers at Disney.
Mhm.
Like they were literally
Brag
creating
about it.
rides and attractions to and building those rides and attractions at Disneyland parks. And like that, I mean, on paper, that's an amazing dream job.
I want to imagine for a living.
Yeah, like it just sounds amazing, right? But like they would like we'd go out and we'd get drinks and they would like whine and bitch about their bosses, or they'd be like, Becky in accounting is such a bitch. Like, she tried to steal my project from me and blah blah blah. It's like every job is a job. Like even like if you love your job, it's still a job, and it takes like a lot of like dedication and resilience to like be willing to like get up and do that like every day of the week.
And I'm sure working under Mickey, he's just a huge fucking asshole. I've heard.
I need a new ride now, dirtbag. Yeah, exactly. Just a slave driving Mickey.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, especially videos, dude. Like videos are they're just time consuming.
Oh yeah,
take
there's
a lot of energy
there's a kind of drag or like down like where you feel like you've hit a wall and you just got to keep pushing.
Yeah.
Every video you do.
Yeah.
It's not like a blast the whole way through. For me, it's always on that like third pass where I've watched it twice and I'm just going, all right, what am I going to keep? What am I going to get rid of? Like, even though that cut is shorter, it takes me longer because I'm just like, oh God.
Yeah.
I'm over this.
Yeah.
But then when I get past that and I'm in the actual like cutting and putting in all the gags and stuff, then I'm enjoying it again.
And then having people watch it and respond to it is also really fun.
That's something that I didn't think I would enjoy as much as I do. Like it's always like a delight to go to the YouTube page of a video and kind of see what people are saying about it and like what jokes they liked and
like calling out like in comments like jokes that you thought of and being like, oh,
yeah,
so
they'll like
funny.
time step stuff and it's like, oh, they love me.
Yeah. So what else do you want to do in life? Like, where do you go from here? Like, it sounds like you're enjoying Funhaus and it's a good place to be, but like long term, sort of like, what goals do you have?
Well, it is kind of on the same course because videos is an amalgam, the Funhaus videos I do because they have animation and stuff in them. It's kind of an amalgam of all the things I enjoy of, video and editing and comedy and photoshopping and animating and stuff like that. I do eventually, like my end goal is video games. This is something, I've mentioned this before. I'm not like keeping it a secret or anything. I'm hoping that eventually down the road I can start making video games because it's the same thing, just a little more because video games is like music and animation, drawing and programming and stuff. And then when you make a video game, you got to make all the marketing materials, which is video editing. So that would be even more of just like all of the skills and talents that I've developed and enjoy participating in, kind of all mashed into one.
Mm-hmm.
So Yeah, that's the plan. Is to eventually, no time date yet,
Yeah.
but eventually get into games and start making games.
Awesome.
And I feel like I've learned a lot from being at Funhaus and stuff that will apply over there.
You've also played a lot of games and
And
like a lot of different games.
Yeah, I play a lot of video games.
It's like Stephen King says, if you want to be a good writer, read.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it's the same thing applies to video game. You want to make video games, play video games.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Stephen King.
That's why I play so many video games and I like procrastinate from my responsibilities and stuff.
right.
Because
It's
I'm
just
learning.
research and development for like
exactly.
what's going to eventually make you a millionaire.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I don't care about money.
Eventually make you very successful video game designer programmer.
I don't really care about success either.
Okay. Well, eventually allow you to put out a video game in the world that people play.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You know, when I was a kid, people asked me what I wanted to do for a living, I was like, I want to be a professional baseball player and a video game programmer and designer.
Really?
Yeah, I was gonna have like those two careers.
I think
But
it could work.
Not anymore.
Oh.
I think I'm past my prime for both of those things.
You played video games?
I did. I played a lot of Nintendo in grandma's back room.
I remember you printed out the instruction guide for how to beat the Forest Temple in Ocarina of Time, and I was mad at you.
Because I was cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just finished. Well, not just, but like a few months ago, I finished the Zelda game on the Nintendo Switch, and I did have to go online for some help at some point.
Yeah.
But you know, it's not cheating. It's just
It's getting help.
Yeah, get a little
Yeah.
assist now and then.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, John. Thank you for coming over.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah. I hope people find this interesting. I know that I find what you do just so fascinating and cool. So thanks for talking about it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Should we shake hands one more time for the cameras? Oh, too slow?
I did the hairbrush. Have you seen Us yet? It's so good.
All right. Thanks, John.